Hello, and welcome to Better Health. I'm Dr. Bobby Stowe, and this show is about you, the audience, the patient. In the next 30 minutes, we will explore, answer, and hopefully intrigue you to think about alternative methods to help explain and treat medical conditions and to help you achieve and maintain better health. In our last show, I talked and hopefully educated you on how to avoid visits to the emergency room for back pain. If you remember that show, we reviewed some of the anatomy of the back and how and why back pain can be reduced, if not completely eliminated. I hope you also remember that for many people, the elimination of back pain has a lot to do with lifestyle changes. Individuals have to become personally responsible for their actions and realize that some of the things that they are doing in their life may be attributing to their back pain. And by making these changes in their life, they can obtain some real relief from that chronic back condition. I can tell you from personal experience, my own issues with back pain, that living with pain is not even an option. Not knowing if or when the pain is going to flare up, not knowing how severe the pain would be, wondering how long it was going to last, it's just no way to live a healthy life. Please remember that this pain is nothing more than the body's way of telling us that something is not working correctly. When you feel pain, your body is telling you that it needs outside assistance in order to help heal the body in order to achieve and maintain health. Speaking of health, let's define what I believe health really is. It's not merely the absence of disease, but rather a homeostatic balance of the systems and processes of the body. It is the harmony of the 12 systems of the body that allow it to function in a healthy manner and hopefully prevent disease. Again, this show has been designed to provide you with the information that you can use to be better informed about achieving and maintaining your health. Many times there are alternative methods that are available for a given condition, and it is my desire to help and inform you about these treatments and therapies as we all strive and seek better health.
It's exciting and bold, yet classy and comfortable. It's the Tom Felicia Home Collection that puts the finishing touches to your perfect living environment. James Craig Furnishings in Houston offers the Tom Felicia Home Collection, along with other fashion-forward home furnishings, fit for every lifestyle. They offer the designs you want and the service you deserve. Visit James Craig Furnishings.
There is also a very attractive extended warranty option that includes free service and parts for the next 5 years. But there's no need for you to get that. You failed to get the test you needed at the doctor that would have detected disease early enough where it could have been treated. So you won't be around in 2 years to see him grow up, which means the warranty would be useless. Okay, sign here, please.
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
Welcome back. Today in the news, the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, has recently given notice that drugs that are used to treat GERD, reflux, and indigestion, known as proton pump inhibitors, when used regularly for more than a year, may lead to low levels of circulating magnesium. This long-term use can lead to an increase in risk in leg spasms, arrhythmias, and seizures. But the FDA goes on to warn that these patients given these drugs and then undergo stenting or other percutaneous cardiovascular events may increase the risk of heart attack or stroke. In other words, if you take a prescription or over-the-counter drug for indigestion or heartburn like Nexium, Prilosec, or Prevacid, and then you need to have any type of invasive heart test, you might be at risk for a heart attack or a stroke because of low magnesium. Magnesium is one of those very important elements in the body responsible for over 300 reactions in the body. The take-home message from the FDA warning is that if you are taking one of these proton pump inhibitors and if you have any type of tests on your heart, please make sure that you tell your doctor that you are on this type of drug. Something else I'd like you to think about though is why are you having the symptoms of indigestion and reflux in the first place? What is causing those symptoms, and can the cause of the symptoms be treated? You might be surprised to learn the answer, but we're going to leave that for another show. Another story on exercise has caught my attention in the last few weeks. Again, we see that exercise is beneficial to all of us, but especially and specifically in the reduction of colon polyps and colon cancer. According to a report published online on March 2nd in the British Journal of Cancer, an active lifestyle can protect against bowel cancer and the reduction of bowel polyps. Exercise can reduce the risk of colon cancer by 25% compared to those who do not exercise by boosting the immune system, decreasing inflammation in the bowel, and helping to reduce insulin levels. All of these are factors that we know have an effect on bowel polyp risk, says Dr. Kathleen Wolin, MD, the lead author. As I have stated many times on this show, throughout history, we as humans lived outside in the sun, requiring manual labor all day just to stay alive. Today, with little manual labor, we have resorted to exercise, which helps us keep us healthy and alive, and we shouldn't be surprised when research finally catches up with what should be common sense. From exercise to diet, I found another very interesting article about 11 superfoods that bring health and well-being to our bodies. All of these foods offer a variety of ways to help benefit and protect our bodies from the ravages of things like free radicals. They can reduce heart disease and cancer, and in general make our bodies more healthy. On a personal note, I really don't like the word diet. I personally believe we all need to eat and live a healthy lifestyle, which includes eating healthy, nutritious foods almost all the time. This to me isn't a diet, but rather a lifestyle, a way of providing nutrition to our body. This leads me to our main topic today. We're going to take another short break, but when we return, we're going to take a very close look at the new 2010 dietary guidelines for Americans and why we as Americans are seeing such a sharp and severe rise in obesity and the chronic diseases. So stay tuned.
Did you buy the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes?
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yup.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Visit ready.gov.
Lead paint poisoning affects over 1 million children today. If your home was built before 1978, your kids could be at risk. Log on to leadfreekids.org or call 800-424-LEAD.
Welcome back to Better Health. I'm Dr. Stowe. By law, every 5 years, a publication called the Dietary Guidelines for America is reviewed, updated, and published by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. This occurred last year in 2010, and it is meant to provide us, the citizens of the United States, with the tools necessary to help us become more healthy individuals, and in turn, become a more healthy nation. However, the evidence I'm about to present would suggest that we are anything other than a healthy nation. In fact, if we are anything, as we are as unhealthy today as we've ever been in the history of mankind. According to this 2010 publication, these government agencies state that this guideline is being released at a time of rising concern about the health of Americans and due to poor diet and physical inactivity. These two factors, poor diet and inactivity, are the important factors contributing to an epidemic of overweight and obesity affecting men, women, and children in all segments of our society, and are associated with the major causes of morbidity and mortality in the United States. The basic premise of this publication falls on the shoulders of two overriding concepts. First, maintaining caloric balance to achieve a healthy weight, and second, to consume nutritionally dense foods and beverages that supply the necessary nutrients our bodies need to function properly. In simple terms, these two concepts boil down to eating foods that are good for us and only eating the amount that we need. For decades, we Americans have enjoyed the finer indulgences of life. We have all types of fast food in quantities that, as the old saying goes, could kill a horse. I grew up in the 50s and 60s and had a mother and father that made me eat everything that was on my plate. I also remember eating fried chicken and breads and pastas and bacon and gravy and all the other foods that most people today think are bad. But why could I eat those foods then and not now? The main reason is because back then, as a child, I was outside all day, running, playing, swimming with my friends, and just basically being a kid. And my mother and father worked all day. They worked doing manual labor, and we all burned the calories that we were consuming. Today, however, kids don't run and play. They're inside, they're playing on that game box on the TV or on their computer, and even at school, most playground and physical education time has either been reduced or eliminated due to budgetary constraints. So kids today just don't get the exercise they did when I was growing up. And as far as adults go, we too have gone indoors. 30, 40, 50 years ago, people worked very hard with their bodies. 50 years ago, there was still a lot of farming and manufacturing jobs, and both of those required physically demanding labor. But today, over the last 25 or 30 years, most manufacturing jobs are gone. The family farm has all but disappeared, and most all new jobs created over the last few decades are indoors at a computer. So here we stand. Not only has physical activity been eliminated, but the food intake has increased and the quality of the food has been reduced, and now Americans are fat. And now, how fat are we? Well, recently a report was released by the World Health Organization on the number of overweight people of all the nations on our planet. This information was compiled between the years 2000 and 2008 and is expressed as a percentage of the total population for a given country. Would you like to guess what country came in as having the highest percent of overweight individuals? Well, it's American Samoa, with 93.5% of their population as being either overweight or obese. The reason given was due to the changes in diet from their native foods, which were very high in complex carbohydrates and low in fat, to a more Western style of eating and the American culture as it became more influential in that area. Want to guess where the United States ranked? Well, it wasn't number 2, but we came in a solid number 3, with 66.7% of our population being either overweight or obese. This is deplorable. The number, it gets even worse though when you look at where we were just a few years ago. 1960s, only 24% of Americans were considered overweight. So in just 50 years, we've almost tripled the number of Americans that are overweight or obese. And the primary reason this report states is the increase in the overproduction and therefore the overconsumption of oils, of fats, and of sugars, in addition to the manufacturing of products like high fructose corn syrup, which is a common ingredient found in most processed foods. In fact, let's take a look at some of the alarming evidence about the changes that has taken place over the last couple of decades and how healthy the average American has taken a dramatic turn for the worst. In 1970s, the prevalence of obesity was 5% for children ages 2 through 5, 4% for children 6 through 11, and 6% for adolescents ages 12 through 19. However, in 2007 and 2008, the prevalence of obesity reached 10% for children ages 2 through 5. That's a 100% increase. It is a 20% increase for children ages 6 through 11. That's 500%. And it's now 18% for adolescents ages 12 through 19, which is 300% increase in the prevalence of obesity in just a few decades. And remember, what we're speaking of here is children. What do you think their health is going to be like when they reach their 30s, 40s, or 50s? In the late 1970s, 15% of adults were obese. However, today in 2008, 34% of adults are obese, which is a 100% increase. In the early 1990s, no state had an obesity population of more than 25%. However, in 2008, 32 states have adults with obesity that is greater than 25%. I have to tell you that although these numbers are staggering, they really don't tell the whole truth about a population that is overweight and obese. For when we talk about weight and the problems that it causes, the first thing you have to think about is healthcare and the costs to our nation as we struggle to keep a sick society alive. Let's take a look at some of the many diseases that can be directly related to being overweight or obese in our society. Cardiovascular disease. 37% of Americans have cardiovascular disease, or 81 million people. Hypertension. 34% or 74.5 million people have hypertension. And cardiovascular disease and hypertension can lead and do lead to heart attack, stroke, congestive heart failure, and kidney disease. Prehypertension. 36% of Americans are predisposed to getting hypertension. Diabetes. 11% of Americans, or 24 million people, have diabetes. The vast majority are type 2, which is heavily influenced by diet and physical activity. Prediabetics. 35% of Americans, or 78 million, are predisposed to becoming diabetic. And of course, cancer. 41% of Americans will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime, which is approximately 123 million people. The cancers that can be directly tied to diet include breast, endometrial, colon, kidney, mouth, pharynx, larynx, and esophageal. Osteoporosis. 1 out of every 2 women and 1 out of every 4 men older than 50 will have osteoporosis and a related fracture in their lifetime. This is because maximum bone density is obtained during a person's life, during their early 20s and into their 30s. However, without proper nutrition and exercise, optimal bone mass is never obtained and therefore lost more rapidly in later years. So by now, some of you may be asking why. Why are Americans obese? What are we eating that is so bad for us? Well, what the majority of us are eating is what is killing us. You see, processed foods and the chemicals they contain and the other ingredients in them aren't very good for human consumption. But guess what? Many people eat them anyway for a variety of reasons, primarily convenience. But what exactly are we eating? Well, let's look at this chart. As you can see from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which is a study sponsored by the CDC, the #1 item source for calories for all Americans 2 years old and up is grain-based desserts. That's right, desserts. This is the #1 food item for caloric intake. This is remarkable. #2 is yeast breads. Number 3 is chicken and chicken mixed dishes, which means anything that has a chicken in it. Number 4 is sodas and energy drinks, sports drinks. And number 5 is pizza. Now I have to stop here and ask a really stupid question. Did anybody see or hear of any fruits or vegetables on this list? To tell you the truth, this list contains 25 sources of calories, and not a single item that is listed consists of a fruit or a vegetable. And you wonder why Americans are overweight and obese? So the question becomes, what can we do about this epidemic of sickness, of disease, of lack of productivity, the early death of millions and millions of Americans, and the billions and billions of dollars spent on health care? But instead of calling it health care, what I really think we should be calling it is disease care. Well, I believe every one of us have been told what to do, but for whatever reason, we aren't listening. Remember earlier I talked about the guidelines and that there are 2 basic concepts that the report recommended. The first was to balance your caloric intake. In basic terms, what this means is to stop eating so much. Some fancy coffees have 600 to 1,500 calories in each of them. Some meals at fast food restaurants have 1,000 calories or more. So if you eat 2 meals a day and drink that coffee, you've consumed over 3,000 calories. This is simple madness, and it has to stop. The other concept has to do with what you eat. The report goes on to be very specific about the details of what to eat and what to avoid and how much and so on. But I want to make it real simple for you, because if it gets too complicated, most of you simply won't follow the advice. I have 2 general rules. Longhorn. 2 general rules. The first, eat breakfast. Research has proven that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It sets your body's metabolism for the rest of the day and gives you the energy that your body requires to be productive. My second rule, plan. That's right, plan. If you leave your house in the morning and you don't have an idea of what you're going to eat, then I can tell you, I can almost guarantee you, you will fail to eat a healthy meal for the rest of the day. It doesn't matter to me what your job is. I can almost guarantee you that at your work, you plan. You have a task to get a job done. I would also suggest to you that no one leaves on a vacation trip without planning. So knowing what we know about Americans' current dietary situation, doesn't it make sense that these 2 simple ideas can make a huge difference in the way we as Americans eat and a simple way to become more healthy? It is up to each and every one of us to take responsibility for our own actions and to take a good long look at what we have become, both as individuals and as a nation. Regardless of whether or not you are for or against the new health care law in the current administration, everyone agrees that the primary focus is cost control. Well, I for one am here to tell you that I have an individual responsibility to help control these costs, and you can start with your own health, and one of the best ways is to change what you are eating and how much you're eating and stay on an exercise program. Losing weight is not easy, but it is something that everyone can do. The question is, will you spend your last years on this earth fighting a disease that might have been able to be avoided, or will you live a long and healthy life and enjoy life and all it holds? The question is for you to answer. And of course, if you need professional assistance or guidance, you need someone who can support and help you through this big challenge. Find someone who can help you, and you will have a wonderful life, a life-changing, altering experience, and live healthy. There's one more segment in our program, and it's called Ask the Doctor. This is where you, the viewing audience, can ask me questions. So let's take one last break, and we'll be right back.
Any questions?
What kind of service plan does this come with?
Unlimited.
Can I keep my same phone number?
Absolutely.
How do I change the ringtone?
Just hook it up to your computer.
Does it have a camera? What's the warranty? Does it come in silver? Can I put my party shuffle on this? Does it have a 3.5 millimeter headset jack? You sell a lot of these?
It's the one I carry.
You ever get those phantom vibrations in your pocket?
Any questions?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Ask questions. For the 10 questions everyone should know, go to ahrq.gov.
This is so cool, Dad. Awesome. This is so cool, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
I had several questions come in from our last show on back pain, and most all of them were the same basic theme. Several people stated that they have been to multiple doctors, including chiropractors, and they still have pain. So what else is there for them to do? And while I can't answer them specifically because I haven't examined them, in general, it's been my experience that there is always a cause for pain. That is to say, something is putting pressure in some form or fashion on that nerve, and that pressure is intense enough for your brain to perceive and cause you to feel pain. The only answer I can give you is that the cause has yet to be determined. The question then begs as to why. With all the tests and the doctors that you've seen and why as the cause of the pain been so elusive, unfortunately I can't give you any answer. All I can do is tell you to keep searching for a doctor who will keep looking and probing until the cause of the pain can be determined. Again, my experience is that once the cause of pain has been determined, generally speaking, the treatment and therefore the reduction in pain is generally not far behind. Well, this ends our episode of Better Health. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It is my desire to help educate individuals about the variety of conditions and treatment options that exist outside of conventional medicine. I should also state that I am in no way making any type of diagnosis for any condition. All of the comments on the show are for informational purposes only. Any condition that you have or think you might have should be discussed with a qualified healthcare professional. Again, I encourage you to send me any questions you might have regarding today's topic or any other health-related topic you might have to www.hcctv@hccs.edu. And as time permits, I'll answer your questions on air. Until our next show, take care, enjoy life, and live healthy.